Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome to my channel, The Vinyl Orchard. Thank you for popping by today. Now, apologies for a bit of radio silence recently. I've been on a couple of holidays to Normandy for a bit of World War II geekery and then a bit of sunshine in southern Spain. So sorry about that. Anyway, I was thinking about my records this week, and I was thinking, what's my best ever charity shop find? And this has got to be right up there. I bought it in the early 90s for about £1, I think, in an Oxfam in my hometown here. And, this is a great album. So I thought I would do a favourite 5 on John Mayall today. John Mayall, the godfather of the blues. I think he died, last year? He's about 90. And his discography is absolutely massive. There's probably 50 to 60 albums over, 7 decades, I would think. So this is my favourite 5 albums today, my favourite 5 instrumentals and my favourite 5 vocal tracks by John Mayall. So if we start with albums, so at number 5 is this album. This is Bare Wires from 1968, quite different from the albums that came before it. This is John Mayall's Blues Breakers. It's an ambitious kind of sweet-like album that blends blues with jazz rock. It's not as focused possibly as the albums that came before it, but I like it because it's quite different. It's quite interesting. It was on Decca Records. This is a mono version of it. It said 1968. It's the last album to feature Mick Taylor on guitar. He did 3 albums with John Mayall. Obviously got John Mayall on vocals, organ and harmonica, but it's also got Dick Hextall-Smith on saxophones, Tony Reeves on drums, and Tony Reeves on bass, John Heisman on drums. And that core would soon form Colosseum, the British jazz rock band. But this is a really interesting album. I think it's John Mayall's most kind of daring step in the 1960s. It's this continuous sweet-like blues journey that's, rather than divided into individual tracks, is divided into movements. So it's quite different. It's kind of innovative in places, it's cerebral in places, it's kind of exploratory, clearly influenced by jazz improvisation and maybe the emerging kind of progressive rock scene as well. But a really interesting album, which I really, really do enjoy. For me, the highlights, possibly No Reply, I think is a good song, but the actual suite, Bare Wires, which takes up all of side 1, I think is really good, and that's my number 5. A little bit different from John Mayall. Enjoy that one. At number 4 is Blues from Laurel Canyon. This is from 1968, I think. This is John Mayall closing the door, if you like, on the Blues Breakers era, stepping into something that's a little bit more personal. This is, I think, the first solo John Mayall album, actually. I think it is, unless there was something before the Beano album. Can't remember. Anyway, this captures kind of John Mayall's impressions of the counterculture in California in the kind of late 60s. And it's like this like almost personal narration of what's going on. So gone are the kind of blues standards and the shuffles that seem to appear on the albums that preceded this, and in their place is kind of character portraits and observations about the environment in which he finds himself in. There's a sense of transition to this album, undoubtedly. This is John Mayall, the songwriter, the narrator, not just the band leader, and it runs like this continuous story, really. It's a really good album, and there's some great guitar work on here. I think this is possibly, there's another album that might edge it, but this is possibly Mick Taylor's finest hour with John Mayall, I think. His work on here is subtle, it's lyrical, it's quite restrained. It's the polar opposite in many ways of Eric Clapton's kind of fiery, aggressive approach on the first album and Peter Green's kind of sorrowful, melancholic kind of approach on the second album by them. You can definitely hear the Rolling Stones on this album. You can hear the sound of Mick Taylor and how that would possibly later bloom with the Rolling Stones. There's some great songs in here. I love Walking on Sunset. That's great. 2401 is really good. The Bear and Fly Tomorrow is an epic closer. Fantastic. And that's my number 4. That's Blues from Laurel Canyon. At number 3 is from 1967. 67? Yeah, 67. This is Crusade. This is the third official Blues Breakers studio album, and it marks another lineup shift in the band. So third album, third different lineup. Peter Green's gone, and in comes an 18-year-old Mick Taylor. More polished than the 2 albums before, but still kind of full of fire. And there's also on here now like a horn section, which gives it a kind of a fuller, almost slightly jazzier kind of sound. Keith Hartley is on the drums on here, John McVie still on the bass, and I think what this does is showcase John Mayall's real ability to nurture future stars. Now, it's not as raw as the Beano album, it's not as haunted, as sad as A Hard Road, but it's definitely powerful and polished and ambitious. And Mick Taylor was just 18. I just find that incredible, just absolutely brilliant. He doesn't match, of course he doesn't match Eric Clapton or Peter Green in terms of emotional weight, but his playing is lyrical, it's fluid, and technically really, really good. And so this is a really, really enjoyable album. Some great songs on here. Oh Pretty Woman, which is not the Roy Orbison song, it's an Albert King song, I think. Great instrumental called Snowy Wood on here, and another one called Driving Sideways. Snowy Wood is a Mick Taylor song, and that's a real showcase for his abilities. None of his stuff is grandstanding, it's just melodic, it's really good. My Time After a While is a great song, it's a Buddy Guy song. I Can't Quit You Babe is on here. There's a kind of homage to J.B. Lenoir, a Chicago blues man, on here as well. Checking Up on My Baby that closes the album is tremendous. So that's my number 3, Crusade from 1967. Now, that's a really grand, confident blues statement, that album, without a doubt, but the next 2 albums are superb. And my favourite of these 2 kind of flip-flops. Today, my second favourite is the one from the Charity Shop. John Mayall, Blue Breakers with Eric Clapton. This is from 1966, and this is the one that absolutely started it all. I think it was released in the summer of 1966 on Decca Records. And the lineup on here is John Mayall on piano, organ, harmonica, vocals, Eric Clapton on guitar, the only album he did with them, John McVie on bass, tremendous bass on here, and Huey Flint is on the drums as well, and it's really very, very good. Superb album. Nicknamed the Beano album for obvious reasons, Eric Clapton reading the Beano. But this collaboration with Eric Clapton just transformed the whole UK blues scene. His guitar tone, I'm not sure what guitar he's using there. It could be a Gibson, actually, because he uses a Strat a lot, but that looks like it could be a Les Paul, actually. But the guitar tone on here, together with John Mayall's harmonica, and the kind of punchy, raw sound of the mono mix on here is kind of like the equivalent of the British equivalent of a chess record session. This is absolutely ground zero for the British blues explosion. Before this, UK bands basically copied American blues, but after the Beano album, wow, things completely changed. They transformed the sound of the blues. And it's Clapton's guitar on here. Again, that Gibson, possibly through a kind of, must be probably a Marshall amp. That just became the blueprint for any kind of rock guitar tone. And within months, guitarists right across Britain were trying to mimic that particular sound. And what an album it is. Fantastic. There are some absolutely tremendous songs on here. A fair few covers. I don't think there's any... There's only Double Crossing Time, which is part written by Eric Clapton. Everything else is either a cover or a John Mayall song. Otis Rush song, All Your Love, opens the album. That opens with a real bang, lots of sustain and bends on the album, tremendous. Hideaway, which is Freddie King's song, an instrumental showcase without a doubt. Clapton plays it, though, with kind of harder and louder and meaner than the original. And Hideaway is a rite of passage for blues players, isn't it? It's a tremendous song, and the version on here I think is probably definitive. I would have thought Have You Heard is kind of the emotional centerpiece, I think, of this album. Is it Have You Heard? Oh, I'm just thinking, yeah, Have You Heard? And that's got a guitar solo I think would be better played by John Mayall. He's got much more kind of emotional kind of feel and touch than Eric Clapton has, but it's a good song. Rambling on My Mind, which is an Eric Clapton vocal, possibly the first time that his first recorded vocal, actually. And it's kind of like a... it's a kind of faithful Robert Johnson tribute, I would have said. But this is a tremendous album, and today that's my number 2. At number 1, and Eric Clapton just irritates me a little bit, and I much prefer the guitarist on the next album. It's the second album, 67, and it's A Hard Road. This is a brilliant blues album. Out goes Eric Clapton, and in comes Peter Green, steps in on guitar, and wow. John Mayall kind of steers this band now into kind of deeper, more kind of melancholic, sorrowful kind of territory. There's less bravado, but there's much more introspection. The British blues sound now is lonely and haunted and melancholic and full of kind of angst. The title, A Hard Road, says it all. This is a blues album about pain and wandering and uncertainty, and Peter Green's guitar is the perfect kind of vehicle for it, really. It's like the emotional narrator. It's just brilliant. I love his touch and feel. I saw him live quite a few years ago. He was supporting John Mayall. He didn't play much guitar, which was a shame, but oh God, his guitar work is fantastic. You know, the title track, A Hard Road, is kind of like a weary traveller's lament. There's no guitar fireworks, it's just emotional blues. The Supernatural is a great instrumental, lots of sustain and bending of strings and so on. Carlos Santana would definitely listen to that. And if you listen to the Supernatural, you can hear Black Magic Woman, which was a subsequent song by Peter Green in Fleetwood Mac. And you can hear the direction of travel for sure. Leaping Christine is good. Dust My Blues is great. Someday After a While You'll Be Sorry is great. A great version of The Stumble. You Don't Love Me is really good. That's a kind of a classic blues standard reimagined. Really, really good. But you know, Peter Green absolutely steals the show on this particular album, I think. I love the sound on here. It's fantastic. And today, that's my number one album by John Mayall. Okay, let's do instrumentals. So 5 of my favourite instrumentals in rank order. At number 5 is from this album, and it's The Supernatural, the song that undoubtedly would have influenced Carlos Santana and certainly influenced subsequent work by Peter Green. It's a fantastic song, just a masterclass in sustain. It's brilliant. It's at number 5. At number 4, going to Crusade with Mick Taylor, and a song called Driving Sideways, which is absolutely fantastic. Snowy Wood nearly edged it, but which I think is great. That's a Mick Taylor song, but I love Driving Sideways, which is a Freddie King song, and the guitar work on there is brilliant. So that's at number 4. At number 3 is the song that influenced Deep Purple's Lazy, and that's Stepping Out from the Beano album. Brilliant song, love it. I remember hearing that on Friday Rock Show. I think it was a kind of a incidental music in the background between items on the show, but I love that song, Stepping Out. At number 2, again from this album, Hideaway, the rite of passage for every blues guitarist, and for me the definitive version of Hideaway is from Eric Clapton with the Blues Breakers from the Beano album. Fantastic. But my favourite instrumental by John Mayall is on this album. I have to choose something by Peter Green. I just love his tone, his sound, and just the way his touch and his feel when he plays guitar. It's just majestic. And The Stumble, a Freddie King song, but absolutely the definitive version of that song. Lots of people have done a version of it, but no one has touched it like Peter Green. So there's my favourite instrumentals. Now, my favourite vocal tracks aren't in necessarily any rank order. It's just a mix, because I just find it really hard to put these in order. But at number 5, nominally number 5, is from A Hard Road, and it is Dust My Blues, which is a Elmore James song. I think it was called Dust My Broom, or am I thinking something else? Anyway, fantastic song, lots of slide guitar, kind of a gritty, aggressive song, just brilliant guitar on it. It's wonderful. Dust My Blues starts off side 2. Fantastic. Number 4 is from the Crusade album, and it's the track that closes the album, a kind of an up-tempo, really authentic rhythm and blues song. It's called Checking on My Baby, a Sonny Boy Williamson song. Some great guitar, fantastic guitar from Mick Taylor. What a great blues song that is. Checking on My Baby. Checking on My Baby. At number 3, I'm going to the epic song that closes Blues from Laurel Canyon, and it's called Fly Tomorrow. It's about 8 minutes long or so, and it's just an epic song. There's a parts of it that I think would have influenced Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath. If you play Fly Tomorrow, play Planet Caravan, you may see some similarities. Fantastic song. This is an epic song. As I said, it's about 8 minutes or so long, some brilliant guitar work, and it's quite different from the rest of the album. It's a really haunting kind of epic song that brilliantly closes this album. I absolutely adore it. At number 2, from the Hard Road album is You Don't Love Me, a song that the Allman Brothers kind of made famous. It's on their Fillmore East, a brilliant version of it, but I love the version on here, and I think it's sung by Peter Green on here rather than John Mayall, whose voice is okay. I think Peter Green sings better, but You Don't Love Me from Hard Road is just fantastic song. That's a Willie Cobb song, I think, although it sounds quite like a Bo Diddley song that I kind of remember as well, but I can't think of the name. But fantastic stuff. And at number one, it's in my top 5 favourite, is the opening song from this album, which is a Willie Dixon and Otis Rush song, and it's All Your Love, which is just a fantastic song. What a way to open the album, but it showcases this band absolutely, I think, at their best. And that's probably my favourite Blues Breakers or John Mayall song, All Your Love, from the Beano album. So there you go, everyone. There's my favourite 5 albums, my favourite 5 instrumentals, and my favourite 5 vocal tracks. Tell me what you think in the comments below. What are your favourites from John Mayall and this vast discography? And I'm sure I'll be back sometime soon with another video. Cheers.